they're agreeing to stay for 1 year. We can't tie them to that. We can request that they do that.
When you give that, do you take out all the taxes and everything too, still?
Yeah. They got taxes and TMRS.
Yeah, they still got their thing on
So they're not getting the full $1,000.
So they don't get a clear 1,000 on them. Well, I guess they do, if you count the benefits, but that's all in there. But one other new thing I did this year was in the water department, but it's very small impact, was the inconvenience pay for a guy being on standby. They get $50 plus time and a half overtime call out. Of course, the first one's a 2-hour call out, I think it is, Gordon, and then after that they get time and a half. That only impacts if you take $50 times 20 times 52 is what it would be. You know, that's all the impact that is, and it's in the water, so it's, and the water's in fine shape even without an increase in the rates this year. That's because we're doing the tax notice.
I'll go back. I still have an issue that, looking at what we adopted last year compared to what we're asking for this year, more than 22%.
Yeah, it's 21.9.
Rate of inflation is 9% or more.
But what we were taking into that
was, we got needs and we got wants. We got to take care of our needs first.
Right. But roads, water, fire, police,
Going up.
real high on those needs.
Cost of living is way,
Other
way
things are real
beyond.
low.
We've got an EDC war chest that is being set on that can't even be utilized to pay for valid staff salaries, and you're sitting there saying we've got wants and we've got needs. I'm sorry, that's incredibly hypocritical. Yes, it is.
It's not what.
We have wants and we have needs. We need to pay him.
It's not
Give him
an
3 more.
ATM machine for the city.
It's not an ATM, but the city doesn't need it. The EDC needs to live within its means. They need to start paying an executive director to run it. He runs it. We pay for that. We're subsidizing that right now. The general fund, the city's property tax rate is being utilized to subsidize EDC, is how that's
This
going.
was not anything new when he got the job. He was here long when EDC was, they knew what they were getting into. I mean, we don't take it out of ground patrol. They take care of ground patrol too, and they bring in the same.
You know why? Because the crime board is the council, and so the crime board basically turns into 4 3-minute meetings a year. They don't do projects. They don't fund any. No, they don't do projects. Crime money.
The police.
Crime board money goes. It's there to supplement the police budget. That's exactly what it is. There's not competing interests.
And it takes care of sometimes too.
What's that?
The court. They buy stuff for the court, and the court funds take care of some of the PD stuff. I mean.
But as far as having an actual dedicated sales tax, a half-cent sales tax, that when it was passed, it couldn't go into the general fund. That's why we have a crime board and an EDC to begin with, is back then, it was an extra cent, half to half, that could be spent. Now, 7 or 8 years ago, the state abolished that. You can split it all up into the general fund if you want to. So, ultimately, the crime board funds are doing what they're supposed to do, which is supplementing the PD. We don't ever sit in there with a massive reserve in crime board, because every year we wind up utilizing it to serve them. We don't come in here and say, well, we got a $200,000 general fund deficit, but over here crime board's sitting on $500,000. No, we use the crime district money every year to flow in and flow out to fund, as they spend auxiliary to fund their department. And again, it's not time. Crime board's not going out and finding businesses. Crime board's not this. Crime board, the amount of time, like I said, to me, it would have been perfectly appropriate to go to EDC this year and say, we need to transfer this year because of the amount of time he spent on the roads. We didn't do that. Nobody did that. I think it'd be appropriate to pitch half of those 2 salaries going forward, and that's where we started. But bottom line, he's not out there doing dozens of hours of work for the crime board. Crime board, it's money. You allocate it the same way you're allocating the police budget, and that's it. I mean, that's That's the only analogous situation, and the money flows in and out of the PD exactly like it's supposed to. And again, there's a big difference between, we need a police department, a crime board specifically assists the police department. I agree that economic development is strong, is high on the list, but, and I'm not even saying we have an election to remove it yet. I'm just saying, to me, we need to be able to partner with EDC, where it's not raiding a crime, it's not raiding an EDC whenever EDC has gotten free administrative and executive level support for 20-some-odd years. And that's what it is. And you go back to, and fine, that's how it was when Linda was here. I don't know why Linda didn't say to take it out of that, because ultimately, if everything's working fine, no, you don't have to take it out of that. It's a lot easier for everybody to just have them paid out of one thing, or have them paid out of one thing. But we are in a spot now where we've got a hole in the general fund, and we've got an opportunity to have assistance, support. It's not even assistance, it's support and teamwork from an EDC, and, instead, we were told to pound sand. And, I mean, that's it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if we need to cut $100,000 out of this, because ultimately, that's how much we need to be in the closer to the black, then we're cutting salaries. We're cutting police salaries, and not just police, fire, whoever. We're saying we're not going to pay our employees what we need to have decided we need to pay them, and we're still not going to have this help from EDC. So, anyway, I think it is about necessities. You're right. There's wants and there's needs.
In our financial advisor the other day, there was talk at that meeting that, well, we need to start putting more money away. Well, where's that more money gonna come from if we don't make some kind of change somewhere? Where are we gonna get that more money? You wanna move City Hall to the library. Where are we gonna get the money for that?
Well, it's in the bond, but we already put,
Well, that's not.
Yeah, but I'm saying that those are examples of stuff. Oh, okay, now next year we won't have money to, we'll have to hit the taxpayer up again. I can't go to my boss tomorrow and say, hey, I want to buy a boat. Won't you, front me some money here? Well, don't you have some in savings? Yeah, but I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch my savings.
Right.
I don't live in that world.
I just don't like depleting. I don't like depleting the reserve.
I mean,
I know you don't, and you want to protect the water department because you spent your lifetime there. I understand your bias to that.
But you're saying, do we ask for a 22% raise? Ultimately, this is what, and it's not across the board 22%, but what they're giving us is what other cities are doing. And you even pointed out, cities paying, they're starting out a lot more than us, are having trouble. So we're just, it's gotten to the point where, like John referenced earlier, we can almost look at the police budget and assume that we'll wind up deep in the black on salaries, because we can assume that we're not going to have, that we're basically going to have to operate for another year without 2 or 3 police officers. So we wind up dealing with these play figures that don't matter because we can't get anybody to come in here and start for that amount anyway. I don't know why. I don't know. Like I said, I'm comfortable, regardless of the EDC thing from last night. I'm personally comfortable going deeper into reserves if we need to. I'd rather see EDC pay their fair share as opposed to getting a free ride. But I would like to see, even if it's going into reserves, I'd like to see the budget stay where it is. I'd like to see us try to give our employees what we're going to need to keep them and attract them. If it puts us further into reserves, then so be it. It leaves the tax rate at the no new revenue rate, which is, we can honestly look people in the eye and tell them, we didn't raise your taxes. And they did have to, Larry County did, but we did. Well, the no new revenue rate factors evaluations in. So,
That's still effective, right? That's what it is.
And so at that point, because we have the last 2 or 3 years, while people have been going through hardships, we've had to raise the taxes to cover what we've been doing. So I would like to get to a year where we're able to say we took the hit, and not in the hit, like I said, not in the sense that you need to cut another $200,000 out of it or anything, but if it hurts us in reserves, that's why you have the reserve.
I consider this an emergency year. I know they considered the other two budgets emergencies, but it's time.